Okay, we are joined by our race-winning crew chief. Billy Scott is the crew chief of the number 45 McDonald's Toyota. Second win of the season for the team, take over the points lead. If you can talk a little bit, Billy, about today's race and just that hot streak you guys have been on the last 7 or so races.
Yeah, that's been nice. We've obviously had some races come up short on that we felt we had a really good shot to win. Like you mentioned, the Chicago disappointment, a few others. We've just talked a lot about staying in contention, running top 5, getting the points along the way, and eventually they'd fall our way. So glad it did today.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll go to media questions. Please raise your hand. We have a wireless mic, and start with your name and affiliation. We have questions for Billy. Jeff Gluck.
What's the range of emotions there when that caution comes out late and you're like, oh, geez, here we go?
Yeah, it definitely would have been a lot easier to keep that 2.5-second lead and finish off under green. But, we've come to expect it almost. We talked about it last week that a lot of controversy into that race, but it all started with the yellow, before the white. So always prepared in the back of our mind for it. So just a matter of everybody staying calm, having a good plan for the restarts, and Tyler executed perfectly.
Other questions, Dustin?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Obviously, you want to be stronger for the playoffs. We hear of like this peaking type of thing in sports. In one sense, it's easy to say, hey, with all the top 3 finishes, this team is in peak performance. Is that how you see it, or this is just the normal, what you guys could have been doing earlier this year just for circumstances, that nothing has changed in that sense?
Yeah, I think it's a little of both. I definitely do. We feel that way. We feel like we're, clicking on all cylinders, that we are in peak performance. But it feels like it's been a slow trajectory there, that we've, just getting to know each other, a new team along the way even. It's still only 3 years old. For the 45 team in general, and it's just slowly been on an incline, and everybody's having fun right now, staying relaxed. So, a lot of times you can get to the point where you push so hard that you feel like, you need a break or something. And so I think with the timing of the off week and stuff and being able to carry the momentum through it, that everybody feels refreshed, and hopefully we've got a long road ahead and we can continue it into the playoffs.
How difficult was that? I mean, to take that 2-week break and to be able – it basically looks like everything's kind of continued the same. You don't always see that in sports or even see that here.
Yeah, I don't think you fully know until you get back and get after it and just see how it feels. So, Tyler got married. A lot of us went to his wedding up in Wisconsin, so that was fun. And, again, it was nice to have the break, but fortunately last week we just picked up where we left off.
And obviously this sport, you've been in it long enough, will humble you. It certainly can reward you. But to be at – I'm not going to say you're at the top of the mountain right now, at least for today you are, but have been building up toward that. What is that like for you personally? Because you've been in the sport for a long time. You've seen the highs and lows, and I would say this is probably about the best stretch for you in your career.
Yes, absolutely.
And the potential of going into the playoffs as the number 1 seed and maybe or number 1 regular season champion and potential favorite.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been very satisfying, but again, I think it's been most rewarding just because the team around us, everybody's been clicking, everybody's been contributing, and it takes so many people to do it that it is important to stay humble and to keep it all in perspective and to approach each week like it's a new week. You never know who's going to be good and when you're going to have a misstep, because it's going to come. You can't keep it up forever, but we just got to be prepared to rebound. And even today, there's a lot of ups and downs, and there was points in the race that everybody could have given up on it. A loose wheel they went back and got. We had some bad restarts at the beginning, got in situations where we were low on fuel and having to wait on it and stuff. So it's just a matter of just believing that things can turn around quick, and knowing that Tyler is patient and patiently aggressive, getting back through traffic, and he did that really well.
Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire over here. Tyler seemed to have some reservations about starting on the bottom for the second overtime. Was that just a case of not giving up the front row because he killed it from the bottom there?
Yeah, I think just maybe overthinking a little bit, just being worried about what could go wrong perhaps. I think the points is a big conversation piece. I think that definitely rides in the back of his mind, and I think he was worried about giving up a lot. But in the end, we felt confident that he could take the lead back. He was really good on entry speed and through the whole corner, really all race. So I think just reminding him that we're here to win, and he's able to do it, and he certainly took it with authority.
We're going to close with Jeff.
Seemed like just the Toyotas collectively had a really strong performance. I mean, I know it's not intermediate, but is that reflective of something you feel like can go forward, coming to the playoffs? Is this a good sign for your camp as a whole?
It is. I think, historically, just statistically, we haven't won here in a while and haven't been dominant as much as other intermediates, but that has been our strong area, both for our team and for Toyota as a whole. So I think it is good to come here and get a win for them and run up front again, and I think that does continue, to provide some encouragement for the playoffs that will keep it up.
All right. Thank you very much, Billy. Congratulations today.
Thank you.
All right. We've got the winning team owner with us now, Denny Hamlin. Denny, if you can just talk about what this wins to 23-11 and puts Tyler up in first place in the point standings.
Yeah, it's first time that our team has been leader of the point standings, which is fantastic, and especially this deep in the season, right? This is when you really gotta be firing on all cylinders, and really it looks like both cars are on it right now. It's super unfortunate for the 23. That's racing, as they say, and the 45. You want to have multiple bullets in the gun. And felt like we had that in Michigan today. When the 23 stumbled, the 45 was just as fast and was right there to pick out the pieces. So, really proud about where their speed's at and what they're showing right now.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll open to media questions. Please raise your hand. Madison has a wireless mic. Any questions for Denny? Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You got Tyler a year ahead of time. You said, look, this is the guy. This is going to be the guy of the future. And along with being in first in the points for the first time for the organization, he's in the points for the first time. How has he met those expectations that you were talking about us a few years ago, and what you've seen, and how he's developed, and how he's helped this team get to this level?
So, I mean, the biggest thing, right, is that I hired him off of what I saw on the racetrack. I didn't know how much of that was natural talent. I didn't know how much of that was, him, working to get better. I didn't know. I just knew the results, and I raced around him enough to know that guy pushes the edge, and he can find the edge of the car. What I've really been, happy to see is that he just works, and he asks a lot of questions. He's very, very humble. He just really is always trying to get better. And, he's going to come away with this weekend and with a laundry list of things that he feels like he can do better and the team can do better. And that's what I'm most impressed with. And it's why he's going to be winning races and championships long after I'm gone.
So, obviously, you that sounds a lot like how you do things. So, as you work together, are you rubbing off on him, and how much is he rubbing off on you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you should ask him, but we talk a lot, and he asked me a lot of questions. And there's been many times this year where we're racing each other, and I'm like, I'll tell him to do that, and it's like it goes both ways. Like I really feel like he's pushed me in some areas that I haven't been used to as well. So I think it's working well together, but certainly, I think there was a point in time where a few weeks ago, Tyler was talking about conserving this or saving that. I'm like, we got to get you back on the gas pedal. Like, just do, I think you're almost taking what I say to heart too much. And so he's got an unbelievable ability to drive a car. And now that he's putting it all together, he's managing races the way that I thought that was the biggest thing I thought he could improve on when he came over. was managing, and now you're seeing all these low finishes because they're managing the race, and he's managing the race like a pro.
You alluded to leading the points for the first time, but for this young organization, how significant is today in that sense for you and for the group?
I mean, it's legitimacy, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say anybody, but almost anybody can be leading the points after 3 races or 2 races, right? We're 20-some races in, and all the averages have worked themselves out. And, you know, when we were in stage 1 right there, and it's the top 4 in points for the top 4 on the racetrack, like there's no, you know, it's just not, you know, by happenstance. And so it's awesome to see how tough they are. I mean, week in, week out, they're a tough out, and certainly it's going to make my path a lot harder. But I mean, that's what I started the team for. This is part of the, you know, the crux of being a team owner and a driver is that, you know, you're gonna have to deal with the days that they beat you. And so to me, I give myself 3 shots to win every weekend. Yes, I would prefer that I win, but you know, the winning feeling goes to about 80% when my cars win, right? So it's still a really, really good day, and it certainly helps with conversations that we have. And there's a lot of sponsors looking at 2311, and we're really happy about that. And so those kind of performances, when you see that big M on the hood up front now in victory lane, like that's just really big for our team, and especially, you know, kind of being somewhat close to Chicago here in this area. So it just goes a long way, and you know, certainly proud of all the work that the team has done to get to this point.
Jeff.
You know, he's got 10-point lead, but I'm sure if he was going into Darlington right now, you'd feel a lot better about being able to hang on to that. How would you approach it, you know, going into Daytona to try to leave Daytona with still the points lead when so many things can happen?
Him?
Yeah, like what would you tell him to do, or what do you think the best strategy is to play there? Like, should he be conservative? Should he just go throttle down and just see what happens?
Well, I think that all the guys battling for the regular season and for the cut line, I think everyone's going to race to get stage points, simply because you just can't pass in this car on speedways like you used to be able to. I just remember hanging back until the last 10 laps, and then I'll drive right to the front. It just isn't like that now. Now, you can get a good finish. You're not going to win hanging in the back, but you can get a good finish. But I'd almost say just try to get 10, 12 stage points, and then if you wreck, you wreck, right? And so at least then that pushes you down to finishing like 24th with no stage points, right? So I think that you know, if you were to finish last, so I just think yes, it could be a net even, but I'm sure they're going to look at the numbers and figure out what's the best strategy. But honestly, next week I just hope we're not fuel saving. That's what I am hoping, is that we're all just racing instead of fuel saving, and so that really kind of can throw a kink in all of this.
Larry
Lage, Associated Press. What does it mean when Michael Jordan is around the team like he was yesterday? And did he have another engagement today? And have you already heard from him via text or otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously very excited, and you know, I think that you know, him coming to Michigan, you know, he's got a schedule of races that he's going to be going to here in the playoffs as well. Like, this is a fun hobby for him, fun business for him, right? And so this fills a lot of gaps of the competitiveness that he has lost by not being part of the Hornets anymore. So you know, he's about winning. We had conversations, ownership meetings, where we're trying to figure out directions and what we're going to do with this, that, and the other. And it's always been, I want to win. I'm 60-some years old. I want to win. So do whatever we have to do to win. And so that's really, you know, fun when someone who, you know, is such a big part of your team and, you know, gives me the liberty to, you know, run this the way I see fit and make personnel changes the way I see fit, make hires that we need for the future. Like, giving me that autonomy is just awesome, and it's why it's working so well.
Bob, then Reed.
Sorry. Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. I have 2. The first, Reddick has been pretty hard on himself on races he hasn't won where he's had the best car. What can this win do when, frankly, probably should have won this race, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as kind of a fanboy watching there at the end, I'm ninth and I see he's leading the race. And honestly, I was just kind of in a spot where I was ready to go home ninth before that first caution. And certainly I was like, damn, that sucks for the 45. But then, he gets past and I'm like, oh, that really stinks. And then he's able to get it back. So, if you get the sample size big enough, it's all going to come back in the wash. The numbers are going to come back, right? You're going to win when you have the best car 35% of the time in the next gen era. And, you're going to go through spells, though, where you only win 15% of the time when you have the best car. But then you're going to have other years where you win 60% of the time. So it just is, as long as you have a big enough sample size, while it's easy to get down in those moments where you had winning cars and didn't win, if you race here long enough, and he will, it's all going to work itself out, and he's going to have a big win total.
I don't know if you saw Joy's flip yet.
I did.
So, and is there any? His car turned and just went up. It didn't look like it got T-boned or anything to get turned over. I'm curious if there's any concerns just from the immediate view of it.
Yeah, the cars I feel like are pretty safe in rollover situations. It seems like that's kind of between that and intrusions. That's kind of the strong point of the next gen car. We saw with Priest, obviously, he had some bloody eyes, but he had a pretty violent one, and his body was banged up, but he didn't have any serious injuries, and so that's what the goal of it was. And so his looked obviously less violent, but he just he was just right in the middle of the straightaway, probably doing 185 or so when he turned sideways, and I just don't know that you're going to be able to slow us down enough to keep that car on the ground in that situation. And as a driver, I haven't rolled one over, but I almost would rather roll one over than hit a wall head on at that speed. I just feel like you're at least getting rid of energy as you are tumbling. So, I can't speak for him, but certainly feel like we have a pretty safe car, and I feel comfortable with the speeds that we're at. And there's just going to be a way when you turn these things sideways with that pan underneath the bottom. It's literally just like a wedge. The air is just pushing that thing right over the top. I just don't know. Short of getting rid of the underbody, I just don't know how you're going to stop it.
Reed
Spencer with NASCAR Wire. For your part, how hard did you have to fight to get that ninth? Because after the resumption, it looked like your car might have been hurt more than you thought it was.
It was bad. It was really, really bad. It was tore up. He sent me some pictures overnight that just did not look good. And it's unfortunate, man. I hate that I did that to the team, and certainly set us back. And I still was optimistic because Chris is going to, make sure he doesn't give me total Denny Downer information before the race starts. But he says, listen, we're not going to get it back where it was, but we feel like we can get it somewhat close. And after we started there, obviously we were not close. And so we then just had to make adjustments to the car itself, handling-wise, to pick up the second that we did in the second half of that race. So I'm going to run quickly out of here with my ninth.
All right, we're going to close with Roy.
Yeah, thank you, Denny. Roy Akers, Skyview Sports. You see, when in your conversations with Tyler, how much strategy are you talking about already in the playoffs where you're protecting your position? You could win the race, but if you crash out, you're basically out of that round. You must really be talking on preserving your car and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we'll have those conversations week by week, and certainly I don't think you want to change too much right away. Certainly the first round of the playoffs, the guys eliminated are just the ones that have bad races or don't have any playoff points. So he'll be in a good at least position, and certainly based off of performance, they should get to the final 8, I would think, pretty easily. But this is racing, and all kinds of crazy things can happen. But you just don't want to put the fear of God in them that, things, don't take this chance or that chance, because then you end up with a bad result. So I think you just got to do what you are good at and hopefully you don't get unlucky.
All right. Thanks a lot, Denny. Thanks
All
for your
right,
time.
thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, if you go out this door, through this room, and then to the right.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.